I'm figuring out what this book is more about because I have made some serious changes. I've got some things to say. The book is called Only the Beautiful, right? That's why it's called that. Okay, yeah, we'll just go with that. All right, guys, welcome to the video. Welcome to the start of a reading vlog. I haven't done a reading vlog in ages. I mean, it has been so long, but you guys, I just got home from picking up books from the library and I picked up the new Susan Meissner book. It came out like 3 days ago. And I was so excited because I actually remembered to put a hold in at the library and I was able to get a copy. And I'm so dang excited because I feel like I'm getting back into historical fiction, you guys. I've been reading historical fiction and thrillers. I don't know. It's just, I come and go with the genres I'm interested in. And I'm coming back to historical fiction and I've just been really happy about that. I mean, I even made like a tier ranking video of all my favorite historical fiction books, which is definitely going up before this video. And I'm hoping to get through this book fairly quickly so that I can share my thoughts with you, as well as answer the question of, is Susan Meissner still one of my favorite historical fiction authors? It's been a while since I picked up one of her books, but I've read so many of them. And I loved As Bright as Heaven. So I honestly have no idea what this is about, so hopefully in the next clip or so I will explain it, but I just wanted to intro it because I'm just so dang excited. And so you guys, I got the new Susan Meissner, and so let's just spend the vlog seeing if I like the book. Okay guys, so I just read a bit of the book, and so I'm going to update you on what it's about. So what it sounds like it's about is friendship, female friendship. Hopefully that's what the blurb says on the back. But it's describing this girl, her name is Roseanne, and we're talking California 1938 time frame on a vineyard. And she's a teenager during that time frame, and then there is actually a second time frame in Europe of 1947. So the two timelines is important because Roseanne, early in her teenage years, she loses her family, and that is actually discussed kind of within that first chapter, that she loses her family and she is taken on in kind of a foster situation on the vineyard that her dad and her family has always helped run. So he was like the vineyard caretaker, but not the owner of the vineyard, if that makes sense. And so the owners took her on in kind of a limited term fashion because she was 16 years old and she was going to be an adult soon. And then, like the blurb says, she becomes pregnant and they kick her out and she ends up in this place for unwed mothers. But it sounds like it's actually kind of like a bit of a scary place, like an institution for the mentally ill and things like that. And so for some reason she has been put there, and within that first chapter it shows her being taken there, which was a very heart-wrenching kind of scene. So it's hard for me sometimes in books when they start out like that because I don't quite care for the character yet, you know what I mean? Like, I haven't grown attached, but yet it was a pretty intense scene to the point where you're just like, just being female can make me like relate to her and the unjust way she was put into this home. And so I'm curious where this is going to go because it implies that she might lose her baby. So now what's interesting about this Susan Meissner book in comparison to other ones, so what I have associated with Susan Meissner is just the ability to take a singular event, like usually a tragedy like the San Francisco earthquake or the Spanish flu or World War II, and she usually is able to make it come alive and make me really care about especially the characters that are undergoing these tragedies. So that's my hopes for this book. It seems a little differently set up, like there's no like event that we're talking about. And so the other thing that I have been getting asked about on this channel and my other channel is kind of health updates. And so I thought I might put these in some reading vlog, life vlog type things and put them on this channel because I have made some serious changes, like to the point like I can't eat very many things, but it's for a good cause. Like, so it's called the autoimmune diet, the AIP diet. And I don't know if anybody else has heard of this. Let me know in the comments if you have or if you've done something similar. And it's basically to combat inflammation, and it starts in the gut, obviously with the food, but it's kind of a body-wide inflammation, which when you're talking autoimmunity, the immune system is just revved up. There's just too many things going on. And I have my PhD in immunology, so I understand that. And so for me, doing a diet change is just something that I don't have like the expectation that it's gonna like cure me of all issues. My issues are too big and I would never just go off drugs and just use food. That's not the kind of autoimmune disease I have. It's a little bit more involved than that. But I feel like I could use food to help my body be healthier, and maybe even yoga. That's actually something. If anybody knows some good yoga routines or yoga programs that I could do from my house. I used to do yoga all the time, but then I had kids. It's kind of the story of my life, and I stopped doing it. And so I'm going to share a few clips of some of the things I've been making. But honestly, I'm just now giving up eggs. Today was the last day I could do eggs, and now I'm going to be full AIP, and we'll see how long I can make it, and I'll share with you guys some things on that if you are interested. If you're not interested, maybe tell me that down below as well. I don't want to include content that you guys don't really care for, but mostly I want to be talking through this book because I am so jazzed I got my hands on her newest book so early from the library. So anyway, that is my update. I'm not very far. I'm like in chapter 2 of the book. So I'll pop back on here when I have something more to say about it. But in the meantime, I'm going to roll a few clips of some of the food I'm making. So anyway, welcome to me reading Susan Meissner again. Okay guys, so I'm actually going to try to make some paleo tortillas. It's a little tricky and I haven't had much luck in the kitchen yet, but I'm going to take you along with me. So let me know if you have any tips for how to cook more paleo. Hey everybody, I wanted to hop on and do a quick update on the book, but I also got some book mail, which I hardly ever order books, but I made a sale on my Pango bookshop, and so I was able to pick some up from Pango. So I will show you those in just a second. That'll be part of this section, but I did want to update you on the book. So I've been reading quite a bit. By that I mean 100 pages or so. And it's been really good. And so I know I haven't really updated you on it since I've really told you what it was about. But like I was saying before, this girl has lost her family. She is being taken in by the Vineyard couple. And we're spending time in 2 real different timelines. So the timeline of her just after her parents and her brother died, as she's like 16 years old and living in the house. And then a year later than that, when she is been put into an institute, basically because she got pregnant and they didn't want her anymore, and it goes from there. I feel like the story has drawn me in. Like the characters are very believable. Like I really feel for her character and the predicament she's in. I definitely feel a little suspense when it comes to the parts that are in the institute, like what's going to happen. Why are they making her do the things she's doing? Are her relationships even believable? Some things like that. I thought some of that was just really well done. Like I care about the character. And I'm also a person who tends to follow the timeline. So I'm like, well, I know that it takes 9 months to have a baby, right? And so you can kind of do the math back to the time frame in the original story as to like who is the father, because she doesn't say right away. And there's only a couple options. And it's totally the one I thought it was. But it's still very good. It's still so good. But let me take you through this. So I might try and set you down while I open this up. That'll work. I feel like that's good enough. So this person did an amazing job of wrapping that. That took me like 5 minutes to get through all of that, which I do appreciate since it's sent through the mail. But okay, let me show you what I got. Oh, so there's this book, So Wish Tree by Catherine Applegate. I've heard really good things about this as just a really good read aloud for kids about like equality and things like that. So I am excited for that. Oh, and then I did pick up 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty. So I really did enjoy The Husband's Secret. So I thought I would pick up more from her. So this is actually the book that I wanted in this Pango order. So it's huge. So it's the embroidered book by Kate Hartfeld. So I heard about this from Becca's channel. It's like a historical fantasy type book. I think it's about Marie Antoinette and her sister or something like that, her friend. So it says 1768, two queens with a powerful secret will enchant the age. Just a beautiful book. And so the thing about Pango that I really like is once I have a book that I know I want, I usually wait to find a shop that has other books, because really to me the only way Pango is worth it is if I'm able to bundle and get free shipping. So really that just means I have to be able to find a shop of somebody's that has similar enough tastes to me, or books that I have been wanting, that it makes it worth it. And so this one, I wanted to read this last Christmas and I just wasn't able to get to it. And so I'm excited. So it's The Holiday Swap by Maggie Knox. I think it looks cute. And then this one. So I've read one J.P. Delaney and I didn't like it, so I was hesitant to pick this up. It's called The Girl Before, but it was giving me, what's that book by Riley Sager? Lock Every Door. Lock Every Door vibes. That's what this made me think of. And so I really liked that book, so I thought I'd give this a shot. Those are my books. That's what I picked up. That was just fun. I really like getting books in the mail. So anyway, I'll see you in the next clip. Hey everybody, so I already had the camera set up because I was making a bunch of videos for my homeschooling channel, which is always linked below in case you homeschool or know anybody that homeschool. Please feel free to check it out. But I also wanted to update you on my thoughts on the new Susan Meissner book. Oh my gosh, I have gotten so much further. So the last time I chatted with you, I was about at page 100. Now I'm at 273. So I'm close to the end. I'm figuring out what this book is more about. So let me explain that, so that might help you decide if you want to pick up this book. So I was talking a lot about that first part where we were talking about Rosie and she went to the institute because she got pregnant and then things happened. There's a second part where it talks about the vineyard owner's sister. She was in Europe during World War II with all the Nazis and things like that, and now she's having a dual timeline where she's telling her backstory of those years in Vienna and how hard they were and things that happened, and then in present time when she's trying to find Rosie. And so those things are meshing up. So at first, when I went into the second part, I was like, I don't want to learn a whole nother character and her backstory and two different timelines, because we already had two different timelines and different characters from the first part. At first I was turned off by that. I was like, oh, I don't want that. But then as I got into her story, I'm like, oh, I understand what this book kind of is about. And this is where I want to give a little bit of warning, trigger warnings, if you will, because this book is about eugenics. And I didn't quite realize that in the Rosie part. Yes, it is very much there, but it's much heavier in this second part where it's focusing on World War II and Hitler and the fact that they were targeting not just the Jews, but also people who had disabilities or mental handicaps of some sort, things like that, where they were targeting and eradicating those people as well. And so where I feel like this could be triggering for people, if you especially have any special needs children, then this book is beautiful so far, but I feel like it could be really heavy, and I want to warn you of that, because the second timeline follows Helen, the sister, as she is a nanny for a family in Vienna, and their youngest child has special needs. Like, she was born with some deformities and she's a little bit slower in learning things, but she is fully supported by her family and she has special school and all this. But then World War II hits and some stuff starts happening, and it is hard. It's hard to read about. And I feel like if you have any personal experience with that, this book might be a little too much, to be honest, or at least you need to know that going in to prepare yourself for this book. So that is something I wanted to mention. How I'm liking it, I'm still really enjoying it. Like I said, I was a little jarred there in the middle when we switched perspectives. I know both storylines are going to come together, the Rosie and the Helen storyline, for sure. But I am starting to connect with the Helen character, especially as you're telling her story when she was younger versus now when she's older. She's like in her 60s, and some of the hard things that are coming from that and the lessons she has learned based on some of the decisions she made when she was a nanny in that really hard time frame. So far I would say this is like a 4-star read. I'm really enjoying the characters. As always, I'm really enjoying the characters. I'm hoping it concludes in a certain way, and I will let you know how that goes. Hey guys, and so I just got back from getting myself a little bit of a Starbucks today. I just dropped off my twins at preschool, and I'm going to start meal planning and doing a bunch of fun stuff, so I'll show you that. But I wanted to update you on the book, hence why that's in the kitchen. I have about 50 pages left, and you guys, let me put you down. I've got some things to say. Okay, so my thoughts on this book. You guys, there's some amazing parts about this book. I'm super attached to the characters, and I've gotten very emotional, but I don't know why I'm feeling this way about this book. I'm kind of annoyed with it, to be honest. Okay, so here's my problem. Like I've been saying, there's kind of two big parts to this book. There's the earlier part where it's Rosie and the institution, her pregnancy, the baby, all these things, right? Which I really enjoyed. And like I was talking last time, it definitely has underlying messaging about eugenics and fairness. And I mean, the book is called Only the Beautiful, right? That's why it's called that. I loved that. Okay, then we switched. We switched to Helen, and we switched to her story as she's been a nanny overseas during the time of the Nazis. So what I feel like is I feel like this book could have been two books. I don't like that we were just thrown into the situation with Helen and where she's nannying for a family that has a special needs daughter, and then the Nazis start targeting people of disabilities, even children. And the story goes from there, and I don't want to say too much, but what my problem has been is it's like, yes, the story is super emotional. It just like really gets at you, especially if you're a mom, but really especially if you're just a human. This is a very hard story in a hard part of history. What I don't love is I feel like I didn't know Helen well enough. Like, I feel like I don't vibe with the Helen character. Maybe if I would have heard more about her earlier in the book, but the fact that it's like a part two, now you have a whole different story, and I thought I would really like the book. And the problem is I really like aspects of it. I really like that I'm emotionally invested, but I feel like I'm almost being tossed around. Like it's like playing on my emotions to tell this story instead of telling a good story, if that makes sense. But I do have 50 pages left. I just wanted to hop on here before I finished it because I'm about to, well, no, I was about to say I was going to go read, but I'm not. I'm going to finish meal planning, which is really fun. And then I'm going to probably finish it tonight, and I will update you guys tomorrow. But that's where I'm at. I don't know. I don't know why I'm feeling this way. So wish me luck. I'm going to finish out my day and go from there. Okay guys, so I am back. I realized I was not able to finish the vlog yesterday. I did all my meal prep and everything, but then my twins needed something and the day got busy. But I want to finish this out because I want to tell you my thoughts on Susan Meissner's new book, Only the Beautiful. Okay, so the question is, do I still find Susan Meissner to be one of my favorite authors? I think so. All right, let me give you all the details. Honestly, there's so many things I loved about the book, and there's so many things I was like, this is driving me nuts. And so of the things I love Susan Meissner's characters. More often than not, I really care about them. I'm really drawn into their story. I feel like they are fully fleshed out characters. Just her writing style in general just draws you in. It really paints the picture of what's happening. So that was excellent. Even the plot and the idea of the book was an excellent idea. I really like that she was tackling such a hard topic as eugenics, how it played out during World War II, as well as kind of more long-term how it was playing out in the United States during the early to mid 1900s. Okay, I loved all of that, you guys. I loved all of that. But this is not one of my favorite books of hers. And I have one main reason. The reason is because I feel like the book took an idea, like she wanted to talk about eugenics, and then she kind of backfilled in the plot. Like, I don't feel like, not that it didn't make sense, but I just feel like in order to tell kind of the big arching story she wanted to tell, she had to fill it in certain ways, or she had to create characters that acted a certain way. So I just didn't find it altogether believable, especially in that second time frame where it was talking about the aunt, the Helen woman who worked as a nanny in Europe, and all the things that happened there. I feel like that small chunk of the book could have been a book all unto itself, and it would have been an excellent book. I feel like she could have written two books because the characters were good. The beginning story with Rosie and the vineyard, and then her story in the institute, and her baby, and all of that stuff was excellent. Like, I feel like that could have even been expanded a bit and you could have learned a little bit more. I really like that story, but I also did really like the story of Helen. I feel like that part was way too rushed though. I feel like that could have been its own book. Like, I feel like by the time I made that switch, I didn't want to switch out of the Rosie story, so I was kind of mad about that to begin with. And then you get into the Helen story and I just felt like, not that I didn't care, but I just felt like it all happened too fast. Like, it didn't need to happen that way. Like, some serious things happened kind of right out of the gates. And then the way she was trying to fix it seemed just a little far-fetched and a little too easily done. Like, you didn't get all the details. And I get it because it was trying to tell the overarching story. So maybe somebody else would have liked that because the overarching story was of the whole family and how it ended in the end. So, I think I'm going to give it 3 stars. That's where I'm going to end this. I hope you enjoyed a little peek into my life, as well as me sorting through the new Susan Meissner. I do want to try to make more vlogs. I want to try to get better at making vlogs. I think it's fun. I hope you guys enjoy this. And I would love to know down below if you have read this book. I know it's really new. So even come back and let me know what you think of it, or what you think of Susan Meissner in general. So you guys, that's what I have. I hope you're doing well, and I will see you in the next book video. All right, take care.